Right. So this meeting is being live streamed right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming through. I'll start off with announcements for the day. We've already prayed to the Facebook family that are joining us. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Here are the announcements of the day. I'm sharing the screen with everyone. Let me start off from who we are. We are the 230 Conversations team. That's exactly who we are. All about thought facilitation. We're a religious organization, if you want to put it across, or a religious ministry affiliated to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. We are excited about what's going to be happening today, so please do join us. You can find us on social media under the 230 Conversations page. That's where we are now live streaming from. So please do check it. All the other previous videos that we had, you can find them here as well. Check this one as well. We are on YouTube for all the videos that we actually do or the lessons that we actually learn. We're going to upload them on this YouTube channel, 230 Conversations SDA. You can also find us on Instagram, SDA_advertise. Now, this is a platform that is wholly dedicated to all SDAs, not necessarily to 230. You have a platform where you can always advertise your program. Could be a concert, could be a preaching assignment, it could be anything. So you can advertise on this page. Just check it out. Talk to the people that run it, and you will be able to advertise it on it. We also can find the same page, SDA_advertise. On Facebook, we're also part of that particular page, so you can advertise as the name says. Okay, so please do understand that for the past couple of weeks, I think we've had a temporary link change. For now, we're still using this link that we're using, and this is the meeting ID and the passcode. So please do tell everyone, just in case people are trying the other old link, it's not working anymore. This is the one that we're using. As soon as we get another one, of which we will, but maybe in a couple of months' time, please do bear with us for now. Today's lesson in the morning, 9:30, was being done by me. Leander is also my core teacher, or I'm his core teacher, whichever you want to put it across. We were doing the lesson number 4, to love the Lord your God. And what a lesson we had in the morning. So we have these lessons at 9:30, just in case you're coming here for the first time. 9:30 every Sabbath, we do the Sabbath school lesson. And on this particular day today, we were doing love the Lord your God. Quickly going to the business of the day. Bekezele Bonga is what is going to be taking place today. Our sister is here and she's going to talk about special needs, a mother's experience. I'll give a disclaimer before I give it over to her. Then next week, what are we having? The Timairos are taking us through a very critical topic, bigger storms, greater God, a story of loss, how you can lose almost everything in your life in a short amount of time. So that's next week on Sabbath, the 30th of October, 9:30. 9:30 next week, we're going to be doing the lesson, The Stranger in Your Gate, with Ulianda, lesson number 5. Please do note that Upotifiso was supposed to come through a couple of weeks back, but couldn't because I think there was a mix-up on his date. And so now we're going to look for a date for him, and his story is all about albinism and Adventist experience there. Note as well that there was a temporal data closure due to funds, but I'm going to try and open it up in a couple of weeks' time. So please bear with us. Then, just as a heads up, in November, our November cast is very interesting as well. So what's going to be happening that in November, what we're going to be having, we're going to be having among speakers who are going to pull through with us, and they're going to talk about everything to do with money, right? So it's going to be people that have, an experience with money, people that are doing successful things in their businesses. So we're literally talking about people that are actually billionaires. So we're going to be having them coming through, Seventh-day Adventist, most of them, but we'll also get non-Seventh-day Adventist for our November particular time. So that's what's going to be happening in November. As soon as we've talked to these guys and everything that has to do with that, we'll start off on that. And I see Ashley saying, I have an experience with money, it always escapes me. So welcome to the club. Okay, so let's start the business of the day. We have Sister Ubege here with us. And I ask again that as we get into the platform, try to make sure that your videos are off. This will help us so that when we start uploading this on YouTube, it becomes easier for us. I need to give a disclaimer, and a very personal and a very sensitive one. And this was asked by our speaker before she starts to speak through to us. She's going to talk about special needs child, a mother's experience. That is a title. But it must be said that Sister Bege has lost the child, and this happened last year in March, and that's the experience that she has. And also at the same time, she has lost her husband, and this happened in January, and this was due to COVID. So we are going to allow her to take us through whatever she feels very comfortable with, but she asked us to give this disclaimer. We ask that we pray for her, that as she starts this through this talk, she may be strong, and she give us the lessons that we need to learn. God bless her, and God bless you all. I'm going to unmute her right now, and the platform goes straight to her. Anything that you need, Megan, let me know. I'll be here. I'm going to mute myself to activate my video, but I'm here and I will protect you as much as I can. So here I'm asking to unmute you. There you are. I think you should, I just accept that. I think the host is trying to unmute you. How's that? Is it popping up on your screen? Anything? Okay, let me try that again. Host is trying to unmute you. Let me try it from this side. Is it working?
Yeah.
There you are. Good. All right, now you can start. You can say something. So that maybe. Okay, it's a bit low.
Can we start?
Yes, can we start? I like the accent as well. Can we start? Yes, girl, we can start. Take it up. God bless you. Amen.
Oh, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. And happy Sabbath to you all. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. As I was preparing the presentation, I remembered an essay by a woman called Emily Pearl Kingsley. And Emily Pearl Kingsley writes this essay to describe the experience of raising a child with disability to somebody that has never gone through this unique experience. This is how she starts. I am often asked to describe the experience of raising a child with disability, to try and help people who have not shared that experience to understand it, to imagine how it would feel and how it's like. This is what she says. When you're going to have a baby, it's like planning a fabulous vacational trip to Italy. You buy a bunch of guidebooks and you make your wonderful plans, the Coliseum, the Michelangelo David, the gondolas in Venice. You may learn some handy phrases in Italian too. It is very exciting. After months of eager anticipation, the day finally arrives. You pack your bags and off you go. Several hours later, the plane lands. The stewardess comes in and says, "Welcome to Holland." Holland? You say. What do you mean Holland? I signed up for Italy. All my life, I've dreamed of going to Italy. I'm supposed to be in Italy. But there's been a change in the flight plan. They've landed in Holland, and there you must stay. The important thing is that they haven't taken you to a horrible, disgusting, and filthy place, which is full of pestilence, famine, and disease. It's just a different place. So you must go out and buy new guidebooks, and you must learn a whole new language, and you will meet a whole new group of people you would never have met. It's just a different place. It's lower paced than Italy, less flashy than Italy. But after you've been there for a while and you catch your breath, you look around and you begin to notice that Holland has windmills, and Holland has tulips, and Holland even has Rembrandts. But everyone you know is busy coming and going from Italy, and they are all bragging about what a wonderful time they had there. And for the rest of your life, all you will say is yes. That's where I was supposed to go. That's what I had planned. And the pain of that will never ever go away, because the loss of that dream is a very significant loss. But if you spend your whole life mourning the fact that you didn't get to Italy. You may never be free to enjoy the very special and the very lovely things that Holland can give. Thank you. That's where she ends. Now, to begin my story about my son. My son, Lukanyolongosi, Luki, as we affectionately called him, was born in 2003 in May. I was young. It was my first and up to now, the only pregnancy. I was doing my first year in varsity. When I discovered I was pregnant, I was scared. I had disappointed my parents. I didn't know what I was going to say to them, how I was going to break this news to them. But also, I felt I had sinned to God because here am I, young, having a child even before marriage. I prayed for forgiveness. And funny enough, I also decided to pray for a child with no physical or cognitive fallouts, a child who was healthy. But guess what I got? The complete opposite. In a way, it was a loss. I went through all stages of grief. It just didn't make sense to me. I had so many questions. I went through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I asked myself so many questions. Nothing made sense. I just couldn't make sense of it. You ask God for this, and here you are, given something totally different. When we were in hospital, there was a time when I just wanted to leave the hospital and go home. And I remember one day the doctor asking me that, so what happens to the child if you leave? I said, don't worry, I will come during visiting hours and see the child. I was just not okay. Went through a lot of different thoughts, like irrational thoughts about me and my baby. Some mental numbness. It just didn't make sense. Now looking back, I think I went through postpartum depression at that time. Just before Luki was discharged, which was after 20 days whilst in hospital, the doctors said to me, your child is not going to be like any other child. He might never be able to walk. He might never be able to talk. He might not be able to crawl or even live to 6 years. What happened is that I had a normal pregnancy, no problems whatsoever, until the time when I was about to give birth. I had a prolonged labor. I was at the point where I got tired. I was dilating, but not fully. I got tired. I was put on oxygen because I needed it. And most importantly, the child needed it too. I almost lost my life. I almost lost the life of my son. But I think the Lord decided, you know what? It's not yet time. He lifted up his hands and he saved my life. And he saved Luki's life, but only with a permanent brain injury. When he was taken out or when he was delivered, his APGAR score was like 3. And after 10 minutes, it was like 7 out of 10. Was rushed to ICU, and there he was for the rest of the 20 days. So we were discharged. I didn't really know what the diagnosis was until after a couple of months where we consulted one doctor. And that doctor explained that Luki had a brain injury due to lack of oxygen at birth. And that meant he had cerebral palsy and was a spastic quad. He then explained the prognosis and just give us like an idea of what we would expect as parents. Now the journey began. My life changed. I want to share with you how my life changed. Remember, I said when I had Luki, I was studying a certain course in varsity. I dropped out. I decided to stay home for a year because my child was not well. And after a year, I decided to go and study a different course, a course that would make me to understand what disability was, something that I could be able to relate to, something that would make me most probably be involved or be hands-on, and also better understand my son's condition. I was fortunate enough that I could work, but I couldn't just work anywhere because of the demands that I had in terms of taking care of my son. I also decided to put the furthering of my studies on hold because I had to take care of my son. Certain things I would have to do differently just so Luki was okay, just so he was comfortable, just so he was happy and well taken care of. My life literally revolved around my son's life. But in all this, taking care of him gave me so much purpose. I decided I was going to read up about his condition, research as much as I could so that I could understand what I was dealing with. Our life was filled with attending of numerous doctor and therapy visits. There was a lot of setting up of those appointments too, and actually driving our son to those appointments. We had to deal with medical aids, looking for competent caregivers, because you wouldn't just hire anybody to take care of your son. You know, you needed somebody that has the love, that will be patient enough to be able to care for your kid. I was also unable to do certain things or go to certain places, or having to cut my visits short just so that I can quickly be home so I could care for my son. It was a lot of work, physically, emotionally, and psychologically demanding. It was like a spiritual test too. I had to learn to stand my ground. I had to advocate for my son. I realized he couldn't speak for himself, so as a mother, I needed to stand up and speak for my son. And through the whole thing, through the whole experience, through the whole journey, I needed to learn a lot of multitasking. Luki's diagnosis came up with a lot of challenges. As he grew older, there were more complications. He couldn't speak. He never could from the beginning until the end. All he could do was make baby sounds. He couldn't use his hands and his feet purposefully. He struggled to feed. Initially, he couldn't even latch on the nipple. Breastfeeding was a challenge. But later on, he then started to learn to feed orally. But as he grew older and the amount of food that he was eating was a bit larger, he used to aspirate. Aspiration is when some of the food that you eat doesn't go to the stomach, but instead it goes to the lungs. And when it gets there, it then causes infections. My son was on nappies 24 hours. He could not communicate his needs at all. He couldn't say if his nappy was wet. He couldn't say if he was hungry. Somebody had to think for him. As he grew older, and he started having, not that he started, he always had the low muscle tone in his trunk. And due to poor sitting posture, he started to develop a spine deformity, which we call scoliosis. And this we had to correct with the brace and also with correct sitting. And it wasn't a comfortable thing for him, but there was nothing we could do. He had shortening of muscles and tendons. He was at a risk of developing pressure sores. He struggled with his lungs. And I remember in 2012, he had a very serious lung infection. The doctors called us this one particular day because his condition was just not good. The doctor said, look, he's not doing well. And as parents, we looked at him, we could see he's really not doing well. So we needed to make a decision. She said what she needed to do was to put him on a ventilator. But my question was, if you put him on the ventilator, which is to intubate him, will you be able to extubate him? And she said, no, I can't promise you that. So my husband and I were given time to make a decision. We made our decision. And this is how it was done. A week later, God had prepared us. We were driving one day and listening to the radio. And on the radio, they were talking about euthanasia. Euthanasia is basically like when somebody's on a machine and then the family will be called to switch off the machine because there's nothing more they can do. Medical aids are exhausted and all that. So we told the doctor, in fact, when we had our discussion, my husband and I said, if we were to go through this, what would we do? We both decided, you know what? Should this ever happen to us, we would ask God to make that decision. We are not going to make that decision, but God will, because He created Luki and He knows when His time is. So going back to the doctor, we said to her, look, let Lucanio fight for himself. You are not going to put him on the ventilator. We are not giving you the permission to do so, but let him fight. So that was it. The doctor left, and we were left with our son. He had so many pipes and everything going on with him. As you can imagine, ICU doesn't allow you to be there the whole day. But on that day, they allowed us to stay the whole day until it was late. They even allowed us to carry him. I think it was a way of giving us an opportunity to say our goodbyes, because really the situation didn't look good. We stayed with him the whole day and we prayed. We found our parents and our friends who also prayed with us. And then something miraculously happened that night. The sister in charge who was working with Luki, she saw that Luki's progress was getting better. And without her having done anything, she phoned the doctor and she said, you know what? Luki is improving. I'm not sure what is happening, but he's improving. And that's because God had stepped in. God had decided, you know what? It is not your time. From then on, Luki started getting better. He was, however, in ICU for 3-4 months, and the right lung had collapsed. So as we were there, we also had to discuss the issue of putting him on a PEG tube, because he was constantly having these recurrent lung infections. And now we were sitting with one lung, we couldn't risk losing the other lung as well. So we had to make the decision of allowing the doctors to take him for surgery and having put on a PEG tube. So from then on, in 2012, Luki started feeding with a PEG tube. As he was in ICU for the full 3 months, it was not the easiest time of all. My husband and I had to be in hospital every day to visit Luki. The reason why we were doing that, it's because we knew and understand Luki, that Luki's fighting spirit depended on him knowing that mommy and daddy are there and they love me so much. So he needed to see us. The hospital where he was admitted was between home and my workplace. So what I would do is I would leave home in the morning, get to the hospital, say my good mornings and see my boy, and then from there go to work. From work, change from my work clothes, go to the hospital, stay with Luki for a couple of hours, and then from there go home. I did that literally every day. Fortunately, I wasn't working on weekends, but we still went to the hospital to see him for a good 3 months. In 2014, I had a breakdown. I was diagnosed with depression and I ended up in hospital. I was just exhausted in every way possible. And also at that time, Luki was in hospital, again with another lung infection. He was in ICU, fighting for his life. My husband happened to be in an accident. He was in a different hospital as well, fighting for his life. But even then, God came through for us. Our parents, who were always like a phone call away, they came through, they took care of the house, they were visiting us in the different hospitals, and eventually we were all reunited again back home, all well and healthy, because the Lord had taken care of each one of us and given us back health, and we were back home together as a family. In 2019, Lucanio had another lung infection, and he ended up in hospital, as he always would. It could start as flu, but with him, it would just be flu, and then it would end up being pneumonia or bronchitis, and he would end up in ICU. He was in hospital. He was in a hospital in Pretoria for 2 months, and from there, he needed to be transferred to Midrand, where he was going to be attended by a lung specialist because his condition was just getting worse. He was in Midrand for 4 months, and we had to drive to Midrand every day for 4 months. It was not easy. And whilst he was in Midrand, We unfortunately went through the experience we went through in 2012, where at some point in time, the doctor called us, not once, but twice. I remember the one time we were at work, we both drove from our different workplaces. We met at home and drove to Midrand. And the other time, it was a Sabbath morning at church. We were phoned, we had to rush in hospital. And the reason was one, Luki is not doing well. We looked at him, we could see we are losing this boy. And the doctor again wanted to know, I'm left with one option now to put him on a ventilator. But what do you guys say? We said no. He is going to fight. And indeed, our son fought. Luki ended up having lots of machines and equipment. From 2017, he was on oxygen for 24 hours. And every time we went to hospital, unfortunately, Luki would come home with a machine or some equipment that would assist his lungs or his breathing. He ended up having an oxygen machine, a BPAP machine, a suction unit, a nebulizer, an Evo, a feeding machine. His room literally looked like a high care or ICU ward. It was not easy, but it's what we had to go through, and the Lord continued to give us strength. In all this, Luki was a fighter. There is not even a single moment where my son went to hospital and he disappointed me. We would just whisper one thing to him and say, boy, you are here, but you are going to fight and you're going to be home, and he will do exactly that. Luki could love, and he felt when he was loved too. If you didn't have time for him, unfortunately, he wouldn't have time for you either. Luki was also beautiful. His dad would call him handsome, beautiful. And I think the reason why he called him that is because when you look at him, you couldn't decide whether this is a beautiful girl or a handsome boy. Flawless skin, beautiful smile, healthy looking. I would constantly tell him that, boy, you are beautiful. But I would say it in Xhosa and say, which basically meant in the whole Bonga family, there is no one, none of your cousins who is as beautiful as you are, because my boy was really beautiful. Luki was also very close to his parents. So placement was never an option. We would take him to stimulation centers, or we did at some point in time, schools or stimulation centers, but for him really, it was more of a stimulation center than at school, because there's nothing he could learn. So we would take him to a stimulation center, but they would struggle with his feeding. So one day we had to sit down with the decision of either taking him to a stimulation center where he will keep on getting these lung infections, where we'll end up losing him earlier than we could, or we keep him at home, then we are able to monitor his condition. So we decided to keep him at home. With the last admission, when he was in Midrand, we ended up being seen by a palliative doctor who also suggested placement, but we refused because we knew it wasn't going to work for Luki, and it wasn't going to work for us either. Now, I want to share our experience of going to church. Going to church was a bit of a challenge. At first, we didn't have our own transport, so we would use public transport. We would gladly prepare ourselves, put our son on his pram, and go and catch a taxi to wherever and go to church. It so happened one day that we were at a church in Pretoria West, where at the end of the service, one of the mothers whose daughter had recently bought a car, she went to her daughter and she said, can you please give Bege and her family a lift home? Today they came with their child. Hey, you will not believe. That lady, her daughter, was so irritated with her mom. She complained about giving us a lift home. Fortunately for me, I didn't hear that. I didn't know about this until a couple of months later, when my husband was narrating this to me. It was after God had blessed us with a car, and he was saying, you know what? I really thank God that we have a car. We can go around with our son, and we will not have to be a burden to anyone. And then he told me the story of what happened that day. So yeah, that's what sometimes would happen to us. We were unlucky to worship in inaccessible churches. I think 2 of the churches that we worshiped at, they were rented. So there was nothing much structurally that could be done because it wasn't our church. We were renting those places. I would have to figure out a place where to change my son's nappy and where to feed him. Members did not understand his condition, and only a few would ask. Most people did not know the struggles that we went through on a daily basis. After all, they were in Italy, and they did not know what was happening in Holland. And of course, you wouldn't know what is happening in Holland unless you ask. We built him spiritually at home because at church, he was not much understood. Luki learned to pray for food. We would pray for his food and pray with him before he ate. During family worship, he would be with us. We would sing together. He enjoyed music. And we learned to understand that hymn number 7 was his favorite. He was never in the adventurer club in our church because he was not involved. The caregiver would have to attend class with him because the teacher or the assistant did not know how to teach him. 1 or 2 of the teachers did try though in our current church. I remember one Sabbath, one of them decided to bring the Sabbath school class to our home, and Luki enjoyed having the kids at home. We couldn't take him to church when he was on oxygen 24 hours because the oxygen machine was a bit noisy and we didn't want to annoy anyone. And because we were also in a rented place, our church didn't really have a designated area where the kids would worship, which would be accessible and also offer privacy so that Lucanio can go and worship with his friends in class. I remember one time, 3 women in the church, they are friends. They are like my big sisters. They paid for a spa one day. So my husband just go and relax. We also had lunch. It was a beautiful token. And we appreciated that. We needed it because really it was a lot of work. And as human beings, we would get tired. Now, I want to take you through the support that we had as a couple. And as I'm taking you through the support that we had, I want you to realize and to actually understand that we had all this because God provided it. It's not because we worked so hard or because there's something good that we did, but it's because God was gracious. He knew that he had blessed us with an angel and an angel that needed to be taken care of. I accepted my son's condition. I accepted that Luki was a God-given gift. And all I could do was to love him to the best of my ability and to do the best as a mom. He knew without a doubt that he was loved. And if we had to do everything that we did for him again, I would still, or we would still do the same thing. There is nothing we would change. We really have no regrets. Luki was loved. He was not only told, but he was shown that he was loved by his parents. I remember I would tell him every morning before leaving for work and every night before he goes to sleep that, Luki, Mommy loves you and God loves you more. The Almighty God deserves all the praise, all the honor and glory. He enabled us to be the parents that Luki needed. He gave us love. He gave us parents. He gave us friends. And he gave us resources just so we could take care of Luki. I thank the Lord for giving me a partner, my husband, the father of my child, who loved his son so openly and so loudly. When it came to Luki, we were always in one accord. Yes, as a couple, we would have our differences. But when it came to Luki's issues, we always spoke in one voice. My husband was very involved and he was very supportive. His support was just amazing. He could do everything for Lucanio. I knew that I could leave them together the whole day. And when I came back home, I knew that Luki would have taken a bath. His exercises would have been done. If he needed chest physio, it would have been done. He would have had somebody to play with because Daddy was very good at that. He would put him on his chair and give him his foods and his medications. And we would also take turns in taking him to the different appointments or therapy visits because we were both working. And I knew that if we went to a doctor or to a therapy for a visit, he would come back and give me a report. Although sometimes I would have to check with the doctor or the therapist because, yeah, sometimes some information would just be missed somewhere, somehow. But nonetheless, he knew what he was doing with his son. My parents were the best grandparents that Luki would have ever asked for. My parents were always there for us, physically and spiritually. My parents stay in the kingdom of Eswatini, but every time we needed them, all we had to do was to make a phone call, and Mom would drive to Pretoria. Mom was a housewife, or is a housewife, and Dad was working at that time, but he would also always make a way to come and support us. When we were happy and we needed to celebrate anything to do with Luki, my parents were there. When we cried because something was not going well, my parents were there. In most of Luki's admissions, my mom was with us in Pretoria. God also blessed me with two brothers, one younger and one older. My brothers are reserved, but they are wonderful uncles, or were wonderful uncles to my son, showing him love and supporting me in their own manner. The Lord also blessed us with friends. Out of all our friends, there's only one who has a child like Luki, but they all loved us. They loved our family. They loved our son. One of them even became a sister to me, my best friend. She became Luki's voice. Through her, Luki could tell me how much he loves her, how much he loves me, how much he appreciates me, and how much he prays that God will always give me the strength. I thank Thandi that she allowed God to use her in the way that she did. This was one of the most beautiful blessings that God gave me, to hear my son speaking to me, because I really missed that as a mother. When Luki was in hospital, and we would have to obviously do those hospital visits, sometimes my friend would prepare meals for us as a family. Then we wouldn't have to worry about anything else except going to work, coming from work, going to hospital. We knew we had food at home, and that was taken care of. In 2019, when he was in mid-range, I remember one of my husband's friends, also a brother in the church, Brother Swoon, he offered to drive me to the hospital on days when my husband was working late. My body would be tired, but my heart would be longing to see my son. And my brother Swoon, he was like, you know what? I'll drive you to the hospital. And for a couple of weeks, he did that. And we will forever be grateful for that. The Lord also blessed us with an amazing, diligent, caring medical team. His doctors and therapists were behind him every step of the way. They would go all out for Luki. They loved him, and they were with him and with us and supported us till the very end. We would often get compliments, acknowledgement, or be praised for doing such a wonderful job with Luki. At first, I found it hard to believe, until I accepted that, you know what, the Lord is in control. The Lord is taking care of Luki. God has allowed this to happen, and he knows how to bring the good out of it. And that's exactly what he was doing. I would like to give a few words of advice to parents who have special kids or kids living with disability before I come to a conclusion, so that we can just have time to interact. One, my advice would be pray to the Lord. Ask him to lead and carry you through the journey. For some parents, unfortunately, it's difficult to love. It's not easy because you receive something that is not quite what you expected. But our God is love, and he will surely grant you that. It is also, number 2, very important to understand your child's condition, know his diagnosis, know his medication, the resources that are available in our community. Seek help, ask around, especially people who have walked the journey, the experts who have got experience in this field. Know your child like you know the back of your hand. When you go and consult, be able to give a history. If you can't remember it all from the top of your head, it's okay. Nowadays, we've got phones. If you want to, you can diarize everything. But it is important to understand and to know what is going on with your child. Thirdly, we need to advocate for our kids. Oftentimes, as you know, your child cannot speak for himself or herself. So it's important for you as a parent to be your child's voice, speak for your child, and support them in every way possible. Number 4, keep your child clean. It might sound like an obvious thing to do, but you will be amazed at the things that we see. All I'm saying here is bath your child, dress them in clean clothes. Mind you, I'm not saying expensive clothes. They just need to look clean and presentable. Remember also, our kids, they tend to drool and they are on nappies. So it is very important to keep them clean and moisturized. Also, you don't want to be in a situation where somebody is even afraid to approach or come close to your child because they are just not looking presentable. So we need to keep them presentable and lovable. In simple terms, what I'm saying is disability and debt, they just do not go together. Number 5, we need to understand as parents that most people, they don't understand our kids' conditions. So it's up to us as parents to educate them and to advise those who are willing to assist us to help them to be specific with how they can assist. Sometimes someone may say to you, please let me know if there's anything I can do to assist. This tells you that this person wants to assist, but they don't know what to do. So it's up to you as a parent to say, oh, this is how you can assist me. You can assist me in this way or in this manner. And last but not least, we often struggle to detach from our kids, but trust me, you need some time out. Go out, take a break, go to gym, rejuvenate, relax. If you are married, take time to spend with your spouse and have your me time at some point in time, because things can get overwhelming and you may end up having a breakdown. So you need to be able to be well, to stay well, so that you are able to take care of your child. I'm saying this, but trust me, it's not easy. I struggled with it as well. And with all our different dynamics, it is not as easy as I say, but also it is one of the very important things that one needs to do. As I'm about to conclude, 2 Corinthians 1:4 said, Paul says, the comfort we receive in our difficulties now, we can share the same comfort with other people. So I pray that my story may have touched a mother, a father, a family, or a church member with a loved one living with disability, that you may be encouraged and have hope, that you may be reminded that the Lord is with you and that the Lord is in control. The Special Needs Ministry is a service that needs to sensitize its members to reach out to people living with disability with the gospel and incorporate those individuals in all areas of the church. Church members should see that the removal of restricting obstacles for those living with disability, not only as a present challenge, but a high priority if we are seeking to fulfill Christ's mission of reaching, nurturing, and enabling all people, as Matthew 28 says. It would be wonderful if in every congregation there would be a band of compassionate, workers who are responsible for sensitizing and reminding the entire church of its mission to people living with disability. Before I end, I just want to encourage my friends, Dendi and Tandega, who are with me right now, for their immeasurable support. They are literally like Aaron and Hur, who held Moses' hands up high as the Israelites fought the Amalekites. At the end, Joshua overcame, and I too shall overcome. Thank you so much. We are going to play a few pictures of Luki and a video, just so people would see the Luki that we are talking about. Can we share?
Hi, yes, you can. I've just made you the host. Sorry, I made you the host, so it kept me muted. So yes, you can. Please do. Let me do this. Let me rather allow you to do this. Yeah, we're good. Try it and just see how it goes. You can try. I'm not seeing anything as yet.
Still trying.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. All right. Is it possible for people to ask questions in the meantime?
You saying?
Is it possible for people to ask questions in the meantime?
Yeah, it's fine. Let me try and facilitate that in the meantime while we're pulling on your stance there. One is saying, can you try moving your pictures to drive C? That could help. Maybe this is from your USB, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, no, that's fine. Let's keep trying on that one. In the meantime, while you're trying on that, when you think you're good to go, let me know. I'll allow you to share. I'm gonna stop the sharing now while you try to play around with everything.
And let's try and see if they can see the pictures.
Okay, cool.
The one picture.
No, not yet. We're not seeing anything as yet. Try to re-click on any one of them again. Okay. All right, so we've stopped sharing there. In the meantime, while you try to do that, whenever you're good to go, we can share. Okay, let's see this one. Yes, now we're talking. We're good. You can moving. Yes, please.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Can you see this one?
Yes, we can. We can.
Okay, I'll just go through all the pictures.
It's fine.
Yeah. There's our angel. There's big boy. smiles. There was a day the class came home on his 16th birthday. Some of his friends there. Lucky mommy and grandpa. Lucky and little brother Yaya. Oops. There. Angel. I think that's a video. Okay, let's play the video. See if we can play that video for you.
I love you, deep down in my heart, deep down, deep down, deep in, deep down in my heart. I love you, Lucky, deep down in my heart, deep down, deep down in my heart. I love you, Lucky, deep down in my heart. I love you, Jesus, deep down in my heart. I love you, Jesus, deep down in my heart. Deep down, deep down in my heart. Hallelujah. It's I love you, yeah, yeah, deep down in my heart. I love you, yeah, yeah, deep down in my heart. Deep down in my heart. I love you, yeah, yeah, deep down in my heart. It's a very good boy, whether I it's I love you, little brother. Yes, it's thank you for the prayers. I'm coming home soon. Soon. Love you. It's kiss, yeah, yeah. Sure. Sure. Kiss. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Bega, I don't think we can hear you now.
Can you see the pictures?
Yeah, we can see the pictures. Now we can hear just a bit. I don't know whether it's a volume issue. I don't know. Is that him when he was a bit younger?
No, the volume is fine on my side.
You saying?
Volume is fine.
Try to get closer to the device.
Now?
A bit better. I have to strain. Okay, keep going. Just keep going.
But in any case, the important thing is just to see the pictures.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's our angel. Big boy. Oh, fast asleep. Lucky with mommy. There again. Looking Daddy. Oh. My two favorite boys. Oh. One of his birthdays there. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your personal space and letting us get into your life. I think I speak for everyone when I say it's been a very emotional couple of minutes, and we thank God that you pulled through. And now it's time. I think we should start talking and start interacting. Thank you for the wonderful presentations that you've given unto us. I'm also very emotional, and we pray that God can help us through. All right, let's have Sister Bulela coming through on Facebook, the Facebook family. What you could do is this: if you have something to say or want a comment or question to be answered, whatever or said, by all means, please do let us know. Just write a message there. I'll be able to read it through. Okay. Now we're starting off to interact within all of us here. Let's try and make sure that we keep it as beautiful as it has been. Thank you so much, Bege. Somebody mentioned that your name, Bekezele, which means patience, Bonga, which means give thanks. I think your parents couldn't have named you more properly than what they did. You know, the level of patience and your surname coming through as well, which means give thanks. I think it really pretty much sums up the strength that you've come through, and less often we don't really look into how strong people are. And so we want to say thank you so much. You've been great and wonderful during this time. And thank you for the presentation. Sis Bulela, take us through now. I'm going to unmute you. Everyone is allowed to say what they need to say, ask questions, get to interact. There are many people in such situations. I know Utele is also there. Utandega just came through, and your friends that have been a support system. Thank you so much to everyone that has made this particular very difficult thing to talk about a possibility. Bulela, go ahead.
Hi everyone. I'm not gonna ask any question because I know Ubeke personally. She's been with us for the past few years, And what a privilege. I just gotta say, what a privilege to know such a beautiful couple. I can attest to everything she said. We were there as spectators on the sides, watching them raise that child, love that child, nurture that child in a way that we would sit and we would say, yay, if it was me, this child would have been long dead. God would have just decided, no ways. I cannot let this child suffer in the hands of such an, you know, they are amazing. It's been a pleasure. It's been actually a privilege to watch Ubeke Beno Bonga, you know, raise and love that child. The things Ubonga would say, like, yes, umakoti ka Luki, and you know, the girlfriends are Luki, you know, they never spoke of Uluki as a child on a wheelchair, a disabled child or something like that. They always spoke of him as an able person who's still going to get up and walk and go to school and have a family of his own and drive a car, you know, all the things that supposedly normal people do. So the amount of faith they had, the amount of strength they had, we who were a bit closer in terms of churching together really learned a lot from them. Ubeke is very tiny. If you would see her, she's just a pint, very beautiful, lovely person. But the strength she has is that of an elephant. That I can attest, that I can assure. And to see her glowing even now is really I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Beke, I'm really happy to see you look like that and speak so fondly of your family like that. It has been a privilege knowing you. I personally have learned a lot, gained so much spiritually, just from your family. So yeah, I love you a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Scoliosis. I really appreciate that comment. I think Omega also appreciates that as well. Somebody said, yes, we are glow, Omega. You don't look like the things that you've gone through, and it can only be God. So we much as well. Just hallelujah to that. Thank you so much. Now, you spoke about a lot of things. I'm going to give Usitago as well. And I think in the presentation, you spoke about the fact that this happened when you were a child. When you're still young, I mean, you were a university student, that's first year. I'm assuming you're 20, 21, maybe at that time. Yeah. So having to come through the Holland experience, and thank you so much for that beautiful intro. You sound like a writer. Yo, somebody send me a message and I'll tell you who actually says like, yo, our speaker speaks like she's a writer, eh? And you spoke about the Holland experience when your ticket was supposed to take you to Italy, but then you ended up in Holland. And that was you when you were young, right? And there's some of the things that probably questions would come through as to the fear that came with the Holland experience, you know? How did you pull through? And someone sent a message on Facebook to say, you know what? We speak, many marriages are broken by many things. And one of them is a special needs child in a marriage that could literally break two people apart. How has been your experience before I give to Usitago? How the initial stages, you know, were you scared? Were you angry? What happened to you during that time? You're unmuted, so you can go ahead.
Right, thanks for the question. Initially, I was scared. I had so many questions. I think you remember I said I prayed to God. I asked him for an able-bodied child. And then he gives me something totally different, or he allows me to have this child. And I'm thinking, really, what is going on here? So I struggled for the very longest time to make sense with this. But it wasn't that long because I stayed with him for a year. He was born in May 2003. For the rest of the year, I was out of school. And at that time, I started thinking that, you know what? I have been given this gift. I want to do something that will make me to better understand my child and give the best to him. So I must say it was a couple of months. And I decided to study something that would channel me into understanding disability. But it, you know, even though I was already studying that course, it was still not easy. You know, I would struggle with a lot of things. There were fears. You ask yourself, am I doing enough as a parent? But one of the things that made me to really strive, especially in my studies, I got to first year and I had to take my book seriously because I was thinking, Bege, you left a child back home and a child who is not well. So you need to pass. There is no time for you failing. You need to make sure you pass so that you can work and take care of this little one that you have. And at that time, he was with my parents, my mom and my dad. And, you know, I don't know what I would have done if it wasn't for my mom and my dad. They were very supportive, especially when I was in varsity. You know, I didn't really have time to make friends. I, most of the time, just studied so that I could get through my degree. It helped me. I ended up coming top of my class when I graduated because I just had to do the best so that I would work and then be able to care for my son. So the immense support from my parents is what helped me to get to where I am. And as I grew up, you know, became more matured, I made friends. Then, yeah, I started having friends who have also been with me throughout the journey, even up until now.
Oh, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. I think the strength in your voice and the determination that you had, I think there's nothing as strong as a mother's love. And I think we really, really appreciate that. Sitago, I want you to take us through, have your question or your comment coming through. I've asked you to unmute you. I'm going to read a couple of things on Facebook as well as we align ourselves to such a wonderful story of strength and perseverance and faith. Sitago, go through.
Good day, Saint. Hi, Siswege.
Hi.
Your name, I think it really means a lot. And I think maybe your parents didn't know when they gave you this name. During the week, I was listening to a sermon. I forget the name of the pastor. Throughout his sermon, I took some of his words, but one thing that touched me, he said, if God sends you a really big problem, he's about to demonstrate that he is really a big God.
Yeah.
I feel maybe all of us who are in this platform now, we really want to read your book. Please, your story is so touching, your story is so motivating. And you know, I always tell people, Lorraine, God cannot give you something you cannot handle. And it's not everyone who was going to handle the problem that was given to you. He saw something special in you. And with it, it is a sermon, it is a testimony that, you know what, we really serve a big God. Thank you very much, my sister, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my sister. I really appreciate it.
Yes, wonderful words of coming through right there. Okay, some people on Facebook have put a couple of comments. I think the bulk of them is thanking you for the presentation and also in all to the journey of faith. And this is an indispensable part of how we end up conquering and how we end up accepting. The foundational faith that you probably grew up with, that without God, this probably could not have happened. A lot of things could have crashed, a lot of things could have stopped, but without God, this definitely would not happen. So it's amazing how the role of faith has gotten you to this point. And this being a Christian platform for what it is an encouragement platform to someone out there, as you said. This is a story that will say, listen, if you are going through this, if you have gone through this, if you will go through this, know that these things have happened to someone out there before, and that you can pull through whatever the situation it could be. This is all about a special needs child and everything to do with that. So I think the role of faith must not be underestimated in this case, but it's also God being who is. It's easier to praise God when things are moving well. when you've got everything doing well for you. This was your first and only pregnancy that you talked about and still didn't work out the way you'd anticipated it. I think Tag wants to say something. I want to read something quickly on Facebook that was written here. And Mofokeng says, your Sisi, thank you for letting us into your space and mostly your heart. Being a bonus mom to a special angel myself, I'm encouraged and rejuvenated. Love, love, love makes all of it possible. Most marriages are thoroughly challenged when raising a special needs child. And it's so heartwarming to listen to you talk about hubby the way you do. Wish you more love and more strength right there. And people are saying Uluki has a beautiful smile and he's clean as you put it across right there. He's a handsome, beautiful. Imagine the combination of handsome and beautiful child that you gave us a chance to know more about. Now, before I give to Usitaru here, and I say this because when we posted this, a couple of people have foundations, have got I think NGOs that they're running that deals with this kind of things. Could you also let us know, including the people that are here, what type of help outside your family, outside your friends, is available out there, whether from government, whether from NGOs, or whether from whatever organization that could be Christian in sense or non-Christian, or whatever the case could be. Do you know any out there that could probably help people in situations that you've gone through personally as well?
All right. For me, I have a bit of an OCD. You know, I like doing things my own way. So honestly speaking, I would find things my own way. You know, I think it also helped the fact that I'm in the profession, like in health. So I would just go straight where I know I'm going to find help. I was never involved in a, what you call the support group. I never had a support group. The support that I got was from the one friend that I mentioned also has a child like Luki. Her child is 8 years younger than my son. So I would always share with her and my other friends who don't know anything about my experience and my family. And then I would just call around, you know, research. There is no organization. They are there, but there is no organization that I ever worked with. There isn't.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that one. Okay. If there are any that no, thank you so much. You said your OCD, you like to do things away. And I think it's the same person. When I speak from a male perspective, I think every day I am in awe at the strength of women. Yo, Jesus. The strength and the faith of our mothers, our sisters, our wives, our girlfriends, our ex-girlfriends, the strength that they have, right? It's amazing. And we stand here in awe and respect, and we appreciate you every single day, and we think you're such amazing human beings to have in our lives. I think I'll give to Stag right now. People are lifting up their hands. I think it's a very emotional. I was thoroughly done the presentation, and I would like us to interact as much as we can. Stag, please take us through one more time.
Sorry to come back again. I think maybe I was so overwhelmed by a story. I forgot to ask a question. Sister Beke, have you ever thought of maybe suing the hospital of negligence? Thank you.
You know what? When I thought to myself, whether you sue or not, it's not going to bring my able-bodied child. That was just me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So you said, you know what, even if I do it, it's not going to bring a better child or, you know, a okay child. Yeah. Okay. So what was that decision purely from a Christian principles or just a personal one that came to a point where you're like, I need to accept this for what it is?
Just needing to accept what it is.
Okay. All right. No, that's a fair one right there. All right. So I think one of the basic and fastest ways to really heal from anything is to accept. And when you accept, you start making steps in advancement to the situation that you're at. What will continually probably mess us up is continually fighting, blaming and doing this kind of thing. So I think maybe that could have been a wise decision on your part. You spoke about the time when you, and I was writing all of these things down, by the way, when you broke down with depression because you felt very exhausted emotionally, physically, as well as psychologically. Your child was on nappies 24 hours, and then your husband happened to get into an accident, and then you had your child again in hospital. Both these two very important people in your life, the two wonderful boys that you put them across, ended up in hospital there. How was that? How was that?
Yo, that was tough. I lost weight in a few days. I remember my mom was the first person to come because my mom has always been a housewife. So she was the first person to come. The day that my husband was admitted, I called her. Luki was already in hospital, but my husband was there and we thought, okay, we're gonna handle this. But the moment he went into hospital, that same day I phoned her and she drove from Eswatini and came to Pretoria. So, and I remember the first Sabbath, I went, that's when I met my current church where we are worshiping. We went there, we visited the church, and that very same day, they went to the hospital where my husband was to pray with him. They went to the hospital where my son was to pray with him. And then a few days later, I just couldn't. I ended up in the hospital. My mom was there to take care of the house, visit me, visit my husband, visit my son. My husband is the first person to be discharged. His recovery was also a miraculous one. He was the first person to be discharged, and then Luki. And then I remember one time they came to visit me in hospital because I was in a psych hospital. They would allow visitors. They came to visit me. And then eventually we were all well and back home together. But what really kept us, especially for me, what made it easy for me to actually pull out, it was prayers and the medical assistance that I got when I was in hospital. I think those that have been in psych hospitals, they know that you go through different classes, you attend different groups, you do different arts and whatever, exercise groups and all that. So that helped me. In fact, that's when I started exercising. From 2014, that's when I started exercising. And it was nice because I had met my husband 21 years back. We were married for 15 years. From the time I met him, he was an active guy, bodybuilding and all that. So it was easy for me to start gym when my doctor or my psychologist said to me, besides the antidepressants that I'm going to give you, a natural antidepressant that you now need is gym. So I started gym. I do weights as well. Unfortunately now I don't have my partner and my gym partner, but I'm still going to gym, since then. So that helps me a lot as well.
Oh, okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. I think the amazing balance of what God is always told us is to do, the health lifestyle that you're pulling through. So just in case you thought gym wasn't important, gym is very, very important and is very helpful out there. Hit the weights. It's amazing that you can hit the weights. I can't hit any weight at all. I'm waiting for the second coming of my Lord and Savior. We're not going to hit any weights whatsoever. All right, the church experience for you, and the church experience for you, you spoke about, I think, your inner circle, and I say this from a beautiful point of view. Your inner circle is amazing. Your friends are amazing. If you're going to be a friend to someone out there, be a friend that sticks closer than a brother. Be there for your friends. I think we talk a lot about on 230 here on relationships, on people telling each other that they're toxic, but your friends have stuck through. And that's an amazing thing. And if you know someone going through something like this, please stick through on them. Be close to them, hold them close, pray with them, and don't give up on them. Now, the challenge of church, and I don't know how, and this is something we can discuss here as a group. You spoke about the fact that there were no facilities that could help in the context of, I bring my child here, so there's no place where I can pull through. You had an oxygen machine, and it was a bit of a noisy kind of machine, so you couldn't really bring it to church, which requires pretty much a quiet environment. how can we, and I'm not asking this to you personally, but how can we as a church align ourselves with such kind of situations? There's a situation like that. What can we do? What can we do as a church? What can we do as individuals? And how sensitive can we be to people going through all of this? You spoke about the issue again. I've asked that first question, the issue of when you guys didn't have a transport initially and people would get irritated, one person got irritated and all that. How can we be more supportive as brothers and sisters? Were you okay with people, were people afraid to hold your child? You know, I'm speaking on that. Were people afraid? Would you get those looks and cheers? You know why I'm saying this? We had a presentation a couple of weeks back, and this was for a couple. You find this on YouTube, on our YouTube page, 230 conversations. This was for a couple that could not have a child. And the woman would get pregnant, and then a couple of months later on, she's lost the child. And the husband says, when we went to church, people would look at my wife and they would see that, okay, she's pregnant. A couple of weeks later, she's lost the child, and they're talking to us, and they keep their eyes focused on her stomach to say, okay, wouldn't you, you know, I was kind of increasing. So how was that for you? You know, how was that for you? And then that general question of how can you do it as a church? Did they give you those eyes? And oh, Jehovah, talk to us.
Oh, they did. And you think, Begeked, I didn't, because I knew I had a beautiful boy. So I was like, by all means, you can have a look. You know, this is a gift that God has given me. You know, one time, one of our patients, we were just talking, and he was saying that, you know, generally, if you're going through a lot, you tend to be sensitive and be irritable. And especially if you have not come to terms or accepted your condition. So I accepted Luki. So I didn't care. It didn't bother me if you would stay. In fact, I wanted people to see that, you know what, God can allow you to have a gift as beautiful as Luki. And when you do, just love them to the best of your ability. So they would stay. Sometimes I wouldn't actually see. My husband is the one that liked you looking at people. No, I don't look at people. I'm one person. I don't look at people. I talk, you know, I'm the vocal one, but he's the one that used to stare a lot. So he'd tell me, yo, people are staring. It wouldn't bother me. They would stare. Now I would be focusing on my
Wonderful one right there. Speaking of that, then, church and this role in accommodating special needs. I think our church pretty much has almost every department covered, but I don't know if this one is covered that much. We got family life, education, pathfinders, and all that. One person asked a question on Facebook right now as to what advice would you give to churches in terms of aligning themselves with special needs children. Before you answer that, Uqele, and I know Uqele is a child also with special needs, she sent something on Facebook to say, listen, I've personally received help from the Marianne Rose Foundation, also at a foundation called Arms of Mercy, and also at one called the Angel Network, where help is found. And I think Utatenda put across something on Facebook as well, and spoke about Visionary Life Foundation is available for people with special needs as well. So if ever there are people that have more to do with this kind of situations, please do let us know where people can get as much help. What would you say the church should do? Before I go through that, Natalie says this. Okay, I'm trying to be as hosting as I can. Natalie says the following, right? She says, let me find this. We can create a space for parents who have special children to come worship with us. We expect others to be patient with us when our toddlers are fussy. So why not extend the same courtesy, extend that courtesy to others, right? And all those kind of things. And then I think what then should be clear to all of us today is that I, as a church member, when I go back to church and there's a parent with special needs, or there's a child with the parent with a child with special needs, I must be sensitive enough to a point where I am able, by all means, to be very sympathetic and very, very supportive. I think the constant loops would not do well. If anything, we can offer transport if there's no transport. If anything, we can offer money when there's no money. You spoke about going to the hospitals and ICU, and we're in South Africa here, and it's it's expensive. That's a financial drain that we're talking about. I think that's something that we as a church can come through and help. I don't know what other suggestions other people have. You can come through, Bege, as to what advice you can give to churches to be able to help us with this particular situation.
When I was sharing with you guys the support, most of the friends that I'm talking about here, they are not Adventists. I gave you examples, So with these examples, I'm actually saying if a non-Adventist friend can do that, so if you are a brother or a sister at church, you can do the same thing. I've got friends at church, but most of the ones that I'm talking about here, they are not from church. The only one closest friend that is from church is Tandega, and we only met last year. Oh, and that girl pushes me, but I love her so much. But yeah, so all the things that I mentioned, those are some of the things that you can do to help. But also we need to bear in mind that all our situations are different. And I think when I was giving advice, I said, somebody will come to you at church and say, if there's anything I can do, please let me know. We need to understand that sometimes members don't help us not because they don't want to, but because they don't know what to do. So but when they offer themselves, then it should be upon you as a parent to be specific with what your needs are. Like I also had people from my church who would say, if there's anything I can do, Beke, please help me. Then I would take them up on their offers. Like the friend that I was telling you about, that he drove me to work. He said, Sis Beke, if there's anything I can do, even if it's driving you to the hospital, I will do that. There were those that would offer, like I was saying, like pay for us to just go out and relax, or bring us meals, on days when Luki was in hospitals, And some of them, I'd be specific with them and tell them, please do this for us. And then coming to the question as to what churches can do, okay, it's actually part of that. I believe that most churches, they start small. It's important for leadership to know the first person that comes to your church, the first person that will, in fact, every person that will come to your church and eventually be a member. It's possible, in fact, it happened with us a lot, that the first time we went to a church, we don't go with Luki because you don't know what to expect. But you go there, they greet you and you leave, no one asks you anything. But the moment you start becoming a member, when no one in the leadership actually comes and gets to know you better, I think that's where the problem is. Because I am sure there are some members that have got family members, there are some church members that have got family members back home who are living with disability. We have never seen at church, and we will never see. Why? Because our churches are not inviting, especially in terms of structure. They are just not accessible. If your church, the main entrance to your church has got stairs, how do you think the next time I come again, I will bring my son who is on a wheelchair? I'm not going to bring him because it will be such a hassle for me to get him through to the main entrance. So things like that, we need to look, our leadership needs to look into those things. Know your members, know the family, the families that they live with, so that you are able to them. When you already have seen that, okay, this family, like in my case, they've got a child with special needs. We were fortunate that even though it was a rented space, the one entrance we could, Luki could use it on his wheelchair, it was accessible. But then when it came to changing his nappy, no one ever bothered to ask me, how do I go about doing that? I had to figure out a space where I could do that. And then when it came to class, one of the things that the teachers could have done was that the teacher could have had an assistant, or even not more than one assistant, who will be trained and know how to take care of my child. Because with Luki, you needed to be there with him, to sing with him and sing for him, because he couldn't sing by himself. When he was doing the activities, literally hold his hand and guide him as he does all the colorings and everything, so that he's able to participate like all the other kids. He needed like visuals, your bright colors, all those things. You're not going to teach him the lesson like you will teach the other kids. For him, you need a special way of doing it. And they didn't know what to do. And so it wasn't done because they were not trained. And then, for me, really the space thing, it's a big thing. I remember one time I was at City Church, we were talking about disability as well. I said, sometimes you might have an adult and our toilets, they're inaccessible. It's just a small toilet. This person will come once, they need to empty their bladder. They're not going to come back again. If your toilet is inaccessible, a person that is on a wheelchair cannot access the wheelchair. Where do you expect them to empty their bladder? In their car. Who does that? We don't do that. So it's very important that our structures are inviting. And then we also involve them in whatever activities are done in the church. Some people have got people who are deaf. When somebody is deaf, they just look okay like you and I. You can't tell that this person is living with a disability. What are you doing in the church? Are you just going to move your lips because that's basically what they are seeing there? There is no interpreter, so it's a lot of things, but it's important to understand and also be ready for any person that can come as a visitor. You might have somebody that is on crutches. You've got stairs, they've got no handrails. How are they going to access the environment? Now, all of a sudden, you want to make them even more disabled by having to hold them and carry them. Most people don't like that. Once they are independent, they don't need you to make them disabled. They want to continue being independent.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. There it goes out there to everyone right now. Now we know what to do as a church. And I think sometimes we give too much power to the leaders. We are individuals in this church. We are involved in the planting, the construction, in the architecture of the church. Let's go out there and make sure that whatever church we're building or that we should renovate, let's renovate it in such a way that is very accommodative. She said, let our structures be inviting. And that's very important. Our structures must be inviting, not just the structures, but ourselves as individuals. We must be inviting. You spoke a lot about your friends, and I think some of the comments that came through, that most of them are not Adventist. Here's a disease that we need to, here's a pandemic worth destroying with the vaccine of love. The pandemic of not caring for one another. In the Sabbath school lesson that we're learning this morning, we're learning about how to love your Lord, your God. Next week, I speak like a Sabbath school teacher. Next week, we're learning about loving the stranger within your gates. And then John would then say to us, how can you say the love of God is inside of you, and you say you love God that you've never seen, but you're failing to love the person that you see on a day-to-day basis? And then he says in the book of John 13, verse 35, by this all men shall know you if you love one for another. And that's something that this church, that me as an individual, that you as an individual listening out there should start practicing and doing. And what better way to do it than when someone has special needs? Sitago, you're on fire. Let me give you the opportunity again. Go ahead.
It's not the same Sitago, it's Moano.
Go ahead.
I wanted to just say a story that happened like at our church. Now when Megan was just talking about how people at the church also need to be able to handle people that are of different abilities. There is a family at our church. The daughter has Down syndrome. So there was one Sabbath where when they came, we have a children's church like separate from the main building. So when the daughter went to the children's church, and obviously now the parents were in the main church, and they left the teacher responsible towards their daughter. So while the kids were singing and like everything was going on, the daughter left the class and was walking towards the road. And the other kids were telling the teacher that, listen, the girl, she's leaving the class. And apparently that teacher just told the kids, just leave her alone. She's crazy. If she dies, what. She just said very awful things. And obviously some of the more intellectual kids went and told the mother of that daughter what the teacher said in class. And she was very shattered when she heard this, because they've been members of our church for a very long time. So now I don't know what caused this teacher to say this. And she was so bothered to the point where they stopped coming to church, the entire family. And to even make it worse, the mother ended up dying. And as a church, we didn't even bury her because she left the church because of what happened. And we didn't even know that she left or why she left and she died. We didn't even bury her at the church. So now imagine, okay, she passed away. Now as a church, we want to step up and be in charge of the funeral, knowing that if a few years ago, this is what happened. How was the family gonna welcome us into their home, knowing that there was a point where we reacted in such a manner towards the daughter and to the mother and to just the family as a whole. So I think it is important that we ourselves, us that are here on the platform, that we should take all these things that we are learning on these different programs and be the ones to initiate the change at our church, since we can't always leave it up to the elders, because we are the ones that have the information right now. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mwana, for that one. I think it's a beautiful one that you've just put across to say the last part of it being, listen, let's initiate the change and let's be very sensitive one to another here. I think I will always go back to what Tubega says, let our structures be inviting, let us be kind one to another. A question was posed, I don't know if maybe people come in and go out at different paces. A question was posed, Begane, on Facebook. I just want to read it. I think you answered it though, for the benefit of those that probably did not. Usandile says, why did you not want to put Uluki on a ventilator when the doctors recommended it? What was your fear on that one? You can go ahead.
All right. The reason why we didn't want to do that, it's because with with his condition, chances are we were not going to be able to get him out. The ventilator, what it was going to do for him is that it was going to fight for him, you know, help him breathe. So his lungs were going to be lazy, and he was probably going to end up, I'm just using simple terms, lazy. He was probably going to end up developing pneumonia due to being on a ventilator for a long time, and we were just going to lose him. So we knew, even the doctors knew, that if they put him on a ventilator, it will only be for a short while, which is why we took it back to his owner and we said, then you take care of this, let him fight. If it is time, you will take him. But we are not going to put him through the ventilator because of because of his lungs. And we know that eventually it will have to come back to us. We will have to be the one making the decision, and we didn't want to do that.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that one. So you were insisting that no, let God do his thing all day. He will have to fight, and those are very bold decisions that you were making. And I think that's something that we must look into and really appreciate the amount of decision making that had to come with having a special needs child. And you gave us advice. I'd like to go back to the advice that you gave. I got 5 of them. You say, no, I think I got 6. You say, pray to the Lord. And I think that's a very important thing. Pray to the Lord as an individual and as a couple. Pray to the Lord. And just to add some spice into all of this, I think Ubege has a story that speaks for everyone in terms of what she's gone through, the special needs, but also the amount of support that she got from her husband. And gents, let's support our lovely women that we have in our lives through whatever they may go through. Let's not get tired. Let's not get frustrated. And you said something very important when you said, like a normal couple, you had struggles. But when you came to look, I never, man. We're like this. We're strong together. Whatever we may be going through, as long as it's me and Luki, or it's anything to do with Uluki, it's 100% agreed to. There's a good partnership there. So pray to the Lord, and pray to the Lord not just for your child, but for a special, powerful partner like Bege's husband, a powerful partner like that one. Diarize. Say that we must diarize. So from because you need to have that medical background to say, okay, this is what he's going through, this is what he's going through. And I think you learned a lot of things. You had to change your career path. I don't know, were you into the health sciences before, or you had to change it by courtesy of Uluki?
I was in health, but now what I'm currently doing makes me more involved. I interact a lot with people with disability. Where else on the first one, I would have also, it's still health, but I wasn't going to interact much with patients. But now I'm able to interact much with patients. And I always share my story with them as well. Most of them, they know Luki. I use that to encourage them as well.
Beautiful, that one there. So you diarized and you ended up learning quite a lot of the medical background. Yes, you're in health, but now you specified to such a point that you ended up, knowing more, because you were throwing all medical terms and very well versed with what was going on. I think it's very important that if you have a child in special needs, you become very knowledgeable, hands-on, to a point that if you need to take extra courses, in line with what your child is going through, please by all means do. And I think generally the health department in our church must be able to get us to lessons on such issues. On a typical Sabbath afternoon, I sit down and I learn about autism. I learn about the condition that Uluki had gone through. I learn about, this and that condition, and I understand, okay, so this is what happens. Also, these are the kind of characteristics that they have. And I also have foreknowledge and know how to treat people that probably have children or are personally going through such things. You talked about the fact that you needed to advocate for your child, which is an issue of fighting for your child. The child could not speak for himself, could not articulate much for himself. So you need to advocate. One of the pictures, I saw a picture where it looked like you were advocating. There was a beautiful smile and you had him close by and I think you are assuring him. And that assurance, that continual assurance is a very important thing. In Africa here, we live with a lot of assumptions and superstitions here. And I think not just in Africa, it's everywhere in the world. Certain people would have gone to certain traditional healers to try and find out, so what did I do wrong? So who did this to me? So what? But I think the issue of faith is a complete one that encompasses all our life to a point that it gives us answers. And so therefore, Jesus is the answer for the world today. Keep your child clean, your handsome boy clean, nice, beautiful clothes right there. And he was always, looking, Mr. Fashion, right? And then you said, get some time out, which is very important. How did you manage to do that? What apart from the gym, what happened?
Tandeka asked me about that as well. That Biggie, how didn't you feel guilty when you left Luki? I said to her, at first it was not easy, but if I hadn't done that, I would have lost it, like completely. I wouldn't have just been depressed, taken medication and actually come back to function. It was overwhelming at times. It was a lot of work. So I got the advice, from the people that were treating me and from my family that, what, especially my parents, that you need to take some time out, baby. Otherwise, you're just gonna lose it. So I prayed to God. I asked God, I said, look, I need to get myself back together again. I need to be able to get my strength. Please help me through this journey. It's not easy. We started having date nights with my husband, which we had for the very longest time. We would forget about Luki, have our date nights, but sometimes, in between that, we would speak about him, but at least we were still spending quality time together. We would go on holiday. When we would do that, my mom or my friends would be there, a phone call away to say, should something happen? And we would go away, just call and find out, is Luki okay? So it's all about you just accepting and making peace with it. To say, you know what, if I don't do this, then I'm not going to be there for Lukhanyo. So if I need to be there for Lukhanyo, if I still want to be there for Lukhanyo, I need to take care of myself. You just need to be selfish in that way and say, now it's me, I need to take care of myself so that I can be able to take care of my son. So I had to just, honestly, it was not easy, but I had to do it. And I was at peace with it.
Lovely. I think it's important then to say what you say, to say, listen, if I need to take care of Uluki, I need to take care of me, I need that. And that's a very important thing. A couple of things on Facebook, because Facebook is on fire, all right? I'm not so sure about Zoom today. It's usually on fire more than Facebook. I think it's an emotional story. Here's what Ukele says in terms of support. Ukele says, it reminds me of the offer we got from my husband's nephew. and he says the name. They offered us that whenever Ulwane, I think that's their child, gets admitted, we can come get their spare car when we need to go to the hospital. We always remember that and take up on their offer, because a car is a very important thing when you have to go to the hospital every day. The support is very important in special needs journey. I think that's a very lovely thing to say, and may we do that as a church. In November, we're going to be talking about financial literacy, not really financial literacy, but we're going to speak to people that have made it really quite well in their financial sectors. And I think the church can support. I'm not saying that the burden should be on them, but whatever little that you can have, please do try your best to help. And then someone says, I know she's from Korea, she says the church needs to be taught. She's very passionate about children, by the way. The church needs to be taught. We actually need a special needs awareness each and every time. I think our church is very good on once-off events. But now that we have this, we need to have a special needs awareness each and every time. Some people, they just do not know how to go about helping. Even asking Jay what is wrong with the child, they fear from a distance. And our culture holds us back. That we need to be reserved, etc., it does not help. Utandiwe says, this story shows a lack of disability awareness within our churches. Something needs to be done, and also thanks you for sharing. And then Kelly goes on further to say, and I'm going to read this quickly, we need the awareness programs to be as often as possible. Much agreed, Ntombazana. When growing up, I never heard anyone talking about disability with dignity. You would hear words like islima, which is a vernacular word for I think islima. It's too strong a word. It's not with dignity, but we never got to know what exactly was wrong with so and so. Now that we can name a diagnosis, let us educate ourselves, right? So I think that's a very important thing. When Sandy asks the question, says after giving birth to Uluki, you drop the course you initially registered for. What's the course you did when you went back to varsity a year later? I think they want to know. If you're comfortable with that, I'm your host. I can protect you at all times. So if you're not comfortable with us answering that, let me know, and we'll move on to our next part. We're getting towards the end of our session anyway. You're such a wonderful soul to be with, and we appreciate you more and more. Go ahead.
All right. I'm an occupational therapist by profession. How I normally like to describe what OT is, because not so many people understand occupational therapy. They know physio. So I like to compare it to physio because we are similar. The physiotherapist, they do exercises, and we OTs, we use functional activities of daily living to improve whatever components are affected in the person's body. And I'm currently working in an institution where I work with people who are on wheelchairs, people who have had spinal cord injuries, people who have had your strokes, your severe and minor head injuries or traumatic brain injuries. So that's what I do. I'm an OT, but OTs can work in various places, but I'm currently working in an institution where, they people on wheelchairs, as I just explained.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for sharing that with us here. When I was listening to a sermon just during divine service, and the pastor said, a child is a commitment. We speak a lot about marriage being a commitment till death do us apart, but a child is a massive commitment, and you've shown us that is very important to be committed fully to your child. Mpume, you got a question, you got a comment? Go ahead. I've just unmuted you. Let's try that again, Mpume. As we glide towards the end of our session, it's been lovely. We've been encouraged. We are now more, have that faith. Mpume, how's it? Can you hear me?
Hey, I'm good, my brother. How are you?
Good, great. Go ahead.
I'm good. So I'm not going to say much. My wife is here, so I'm going to let her talk. I think this is great. I'm being invited by my sister, my young sister, Tandega. I think you guys, know her. We got a special need child. His name is Bafada. He's about 8 years old. So what I'll do, I'll let Kumo, she's here. I just told her to come in so that she can share, or let me see, where is she? Kumo, can you hear me?
Let me do this. Oh, what's her name? Kumo, I need to, is she on Zoom? Yeah.
Yeah, she's on Zoom. Yeah, Kum. Can you see her, right?
There's Kum. Okay, fine. Let me unmute Kum. Go ahead.
Okay.
You're unmuted.
Hello.
Perfect.
Hi.
Hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, hello. Thank you, Mpumi. Hi everyone. So we have our
You want
son.
to talk to me?
We have our son. His name is Bafana, and he just actually turned 8 on Thursday. And the same day he's turning 8, 6 a.m. in the morning, we have to rush him over to the hospital because of respiratory issues. So at this point, I'm gonna encourage everybody who has a special needs child and say that for me, the biggest part of the journey was to realize that he's also a human being. And I think my problem is growing up, we never got to see a lot of special needs people around us. And what I promised myself is I would not be that mother who hides our child, or who says, no, I'm not taking my child anywhere. We take our child everywhere. We take Bafana to church. We take Bafana to, he's gone horseback riding. He's gone on helicopters, So I think my biggest aim as a mother and as as parents is to give him real life experiences, is to give him real life memories, is to create memories with him. And I think your outlook as parents on the situation, or your outlook on life and how you want to direct everything, is all on us as parents. My husband and I live here in the United States, and it's just the two of us. We do not have family around us. So it has been a long journey. It has been a hard journey. And I think for us, because it's just the two of us in the middle of nowhere, we had to learn to accept first, to take the situation, to teach ourselves about the situation. My son is diagnosed with Listen feeling. And I think the biggest thing for us was learning, before even we went to the doctor,
Good, how are you?
we taught ourselves, more about special needs. We taught ourselves more about, sometimes there's jargon that we didn't even understand. We joined Facebook groups where people with the same diagnosis were on, and we learned a lot, but I think that the biggest thing as parents is to learn to realize that this is your child. And at the end of the day, the most important thing is to know that they're human and they need real life experiences too, And I also want to say that, kids with special needs for me are a real blessing. Sometimes I feel like I'm walking amongst the stars, Your outlook is extremely important, because God starts showing you things that you never knew about yourself. God, like, as long as you're open to learning, as long as you accept, God shows you things along the journey. God gives you strength for the journey. So at no point, did I feel like, oh, I want to give up. No, because at the end of the day, I knew that God is the one giving us strength for this whole journey, and believe it or not, I feel like God does not just choose people. God does not just say, oh, okay, God chooses certain people because he knows I will prepare you guys and I will equip you guys. And whatever it is that happens along the journey, unfortunately around us, the only kind of support that we had was phone calls, phone calls from South Africa, from Zim, from friends around here. But we didn't have physical support where people could come in and say, hey, can we help you take care of Bafana? Or do you guys want to go out and go have fun? For the longest time, I wouldn't even let people come in, like nurses come in and help to take care of my child, So I just want to encourage you and say, yes, it's a journey, but at the same time, as long as you accept, God will give you the strength for it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Kum. Baby, support right there. people that are going through it and have gone through. Thank you so much. And I think I did not read Umpume's name properly. It's Mpume Babagabafana. And I think that's a very beautiful thing to put across. And that's something that was said on Facebook right now to say, you know what, our Black communities have so much fear and they're ashamed of children that are disabled. You know, it's difficult because it's not the norm. It's Holland. We booked Italy, you know, it's Holland. We're in Holland. Why are we in Holland? You know, and let's not be ashamed of the Holland. Let's get it out there. And I think it's the purpose of 230 Conversations as a platform, to expose such kind of situations, to speak about real life situations, and grateful to people like Bekezele, like Ukumkum, like Otrele, and Otandega, and many others out there that I might not know and might not mention that are going through such these things. Here's what Untitled says in terms of stories. Kumkum, thank you, and thank you, Mpume Babagabafana as well. Untitled says a story about what happened, and I hope we can relate to this. A few years ago, I'm reading it. A few years ago, going house to house, inviting people to a crusade in Bramfisher, that's in Soweto in South Africa. We met a lady on a wheelchair. She had suffered stroke 3 times and had other diseases she's suffering from. We visited her a lot and obviously invited her to church without even thinking about some of the things she'd need. We even worshipped in a tent by then and had permission to use the toilets close to where the tents were pitched every Sabbath. She eventually paid a visit to our church, which was the tent, and after church, we helped take her home, pushing her old wheelchair, and yes, it was a heavy shem. That's what shem is, a South African word for shem, right? And when we got to her house, we learned that she had peed on herself. I was super hurt, and of course understood that the door of the toilet was small, and we were going to have to struggle and even invade her privacy. And she had indicated that she needed to use the toilet at church. She was also hurt and embarrassed. Since that day, we never invited her to church. All we did was visit her, sit and listen to her share frustrations as she talked about God. That's a very touching story. When you know, if you come to think about it, hey, but let's be sensitive, ne? Let's love one another. Imagine Jesus in our time, you know? I think let's have the love that comes from our Savior, the love that stems from the heart here. And let's pull through. And as we glide to the end of our program, and I want us to have a special prayer, you know, and someone willing will come through. I want us to have a special prayer, honestly. For everyone going through this. It's not easy. It's difficult. It's emotional. It's draining. And Obege has been strong enough to share a story. But we cannot take the fact that it challenges you. It challenges you, and it's an everyday 24-hour challenge right in your face. And God has chosen someone like that, and God will choose someone like that. It could be a special needs child that you could have. It could be your husband being disabled. It could be you going through that. It could be me. It could be anyone out there. Easier to speak about a God who is love when you're right on top of the mountain. What about the valley experience that many people could go through and are potentially going through right now? We need one another. We cannot overemphasize the importance of support. We need one another. And we're going to have a special prayer as we glide towards. And Untitled is saying, no, this is a very touching story and all that. So it's honestly, we need one another, you know. And then Martin's here on Facebook says, I want to share my stories as well. Can I have the Zoom link? Martin, the Zoom link has been sent right now. And maybe you can come through and share your story. If you're here, just lift up your hand. I'm going to look for you. Martin's there. And maybe let's hear your story as well. You haven't come through for now. Let me reshare the link on Facebook. If there's anyone who wants to share their story as we're about to end, and Pumi has been wonderful right here, please do. I've just sent the link. My name is Ntanda, so just click on that one, get into Zoom, and let's hear more about what probably you've gone through. Matthews, as soon as you're here, please do lift up your hand on that one. you have to say? What are we saying as a church? Let's get the hands up. Let's get the platform talking. It's called 230 Conversations. Felix, thank you so much. You give us a compliment. You said 230 Conversations online platform of the year. We thank God for the ministry. It's been so humbling to be part of this. And I think what's more humbling is to realize just how human we all are. At the end of the day, we speak more on a level sometimes higher than what we should be. At the end of the day, we're basic. We're just ordinary people. That's just who we are. We're just ordinary people that need one another, and no man is an island. I want to read a couple of comments as I wait for Martins to come through. Tatenda, I've just sent the link. I'll redo it right now. Just come through there on that one. I think a lot of Facebook family. And thank you to those that invited Facebook family. I see names that I've never seen before that are coming through. Really, really appreciate on that one. Tell me, as a question to anyone out there in your church, could be SDA, could be not SDA. What is your church doing in special needs department? What are you guys doing? What can you share? What ideas can you pull through to us here and take us through? I'm looking for Martins, and I think somebody just said Martins is here. What name is Martins or whoever is coming through using? I need the name. Gundo, please just tell me the name so I know who to unmute, or they can just lift up their hand. What's the church doing? What's the church doing? Right? What's the church doing? Felix puts a story in the Bible. The friends, the friends who brought the man and then broke someone's roof. The level of desperation and power in all of that, but moreover, the level of love that friends should have. I think friendship is one of the most powerful relationships we can ever have. Let's keep on encouraging. Tandega siyabonga. Friends to ubeke siyabonga. Siyabonga means thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being such wonderful friends in all that. Natalie, please take us through while I look for other people to come to. Natalie, take us through. Let me ask you to unmute you from there on again. Let's try that again. Thank you. Go ahead, Natalie.
Yeah, at the church that I attend, I'm in the UK, so it's actually illegal for us not to create a space for those with disabilities. So what we've done, we've actually, if you're wheelchair bound, we've actually got spaces that we've created, not just at the back of church or in another room. So there's spaces all round the sanctuary, so that the family of that with that disabled person in a wheelchair can pick where they want to sit, because they shouldn't be restricted to a single area. If they have a disability where they keep shouting out and making noise, we do have a room which is at the back of the church where we've created, it's called the Mother and Babies Room, but disabled people are more than lucky to go in there. We say, right, go in there, right, because if this is where you need to be, that's where you need to be. I'm part of a team where we have Sabbath lunches, where before the lockdown and the pandemic, we would make sure that these families actually ate in church with the people that stayed, because it's not every day they're going to get to go out and mingle with people and get that bit of relief. On a Sabbath, we also have a special class just for the children that have these special needs, right? And for me, I just don't understand why people are not being tolerated, right? I just don't understand why they don't tolerate everybody. Why are you being intolerable? If you have a child that's crying because she's fallen over and banged her head, you expect every other member of the church to be sympathetic. But then you have somebody whose child was born with a condition, and then you are saying, you know what, you need to keep your child quiet, don't come to church. What makes these people decide who can and cannot come into the church? I remember an incident when my daughter was 3 years old. My daughter was very fussy. She was one of them babies that, as you look at her, she'd find a reason to cry. Right? There'd be nothing wrong with her. She'd just find a reason to cry. And I remember a lady sitting in front of me saying, "Can you not keep her quiet?" And I looked at the lady and I said, if you hadn't turned around, she wouldn't have had an audience. So you should have kept quiet. When I said that, oh, you're rude, you're rude. I was like, you know what? I don't care. I came to church to worship the Lord with my child. She's entitled to be here because Jesus said, suffer the little children to come unto me, not let the little children suffer. And that's what we seem to forget. Another incident, my daughter was colouring. You know how children babble in church when they're doing their little things. And I never believed my child was listening to the service. I'd be looking at her saying, shut up. People are looking at me. Stop it, stop it. And then all of a sudden, I'll never forget, it was a sermon of the 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And the preacher said, what Jesus fed them with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And my daughter turned around and said, and custard creams. Because my daughter would not eat her dinner when she was little. So she got bribed with custard creams and pink wafer biscuits to eat her dinner. So every time she ate something, there was a biscuit taken out saying, yeah, you know what, later you can have this one. Later you can have that one. And so what we did was it became part of a daily ritual for her. So for her, it was normal that when you had your dinner and you ate your dinner, you got a custard cream. So that's when I actually realized children listen, whether they have special needs or not. People must start learning to speak to people and treat people with respect and with love. That's all they need to do. If you put yourself in the position of that parent or that person who has that disability, then fine. I don't actually like you saying people have disabilities because they're probably more able-bodied than those who are considered normal. And I say normal in quotes. They are more loving, they're more respectful, and they are more tolerant. And if you stop, you think you've got autistic children. Yes, they have difficulties, but some of them are the most loving people you can meet. We have them in our church. We have them as gifted musicians, gifted technicians, and they're the ones that hold the responsibility to keep the church going. Because everybody else is, we're too busy. We've got this to do. We've got that to do. How about we stop thinking about everything that the world is saying is right, and we think about what we need to be doing, right? We need to be treating people exactly how Jesus expected us to treat them, with love and respect. There is nowhere he commanded us to make them feel that they're rejects, because he never commanded us. He commanded us to love our fellow man. And that's all we really need to do. And the minute we start loving our fellow man is the minute we will remember that they are entitled to be in church too.
All right. Thank you so much for that one. Much appreciated. I think it's a beautiful experience that you just told us about that, you know what, let's just do what we need to do as a church and love one another and appreciate one another. Amen to that. Amen to that, Nat. We really, really appreciate all of that. All right. Let's get to the deliverables. Megan, prepare to give us your deliverables, your parting shots, your power hour on that one day, you know, to say, okay, listen, this is what we should do. This is what I learned. This is what, you know, your conclusion, if you want to put it across. I know Sister Tuli is here, and the Sister Tuli was delivering presentation today in the morning, and about being, I think that's issue to do with being deaf. And she's really advocating for that. That's a disability that she has gone through and she knows much about, right? And she says we need sign language interpreters in every church. Deaf people are one of the most marginalized because they speak a different language. The gospel is to every nation, tongue in capital letters, and people out there. Then Lois says, thank you so much, Tuli, for that. Lois says, I believe that people should educate themselves about learning disabilities. Having a disability doesn't make you less of a person. In my experience of working in learning disabilities, their insecurity comes from people making them feel like they are not normal or they are different. A disability does not define what that person is. Just talking and treating people with respect and love, showing empathy, not sympathy, can make someone feel respected. Okay, that's a beautiful play of words. Showing empathy rather, and not sympathy can be a beautiful way to show that respect. So it doesn't mean, I think that's something we've been learning, because this is not only our first topic that we've talked about disability. Last week we were talking about blindness, and it was a pastor, literally blind, a pastor who came through, is a lecturer at one of our theology universities in Scoliosis, right there in Zimbabwe. So that's where he lectures from. And he spoke about a wonderful situation about how he grew up and how he was angry as a child, but eventually accepted. And now that his friends, because I know him because I grew up in the church that he is at, and he sings such a beautiful soprano as well. And people treat him normally. I think that's what we should do. And he's married, by the way, a lovely wife, and they sang and gave us a duet last week. You can find this on Facebook, on Facebook and on our YouTube page as well. 230 Conversations SDA. So let's do what we need to do as a church, support one another. I think that's the general message that we're getting here. I'm trying to look for the people that I say are coming through, as Sister Bege gets us to a point of letting us know the deliverables there, right? And Tuli says, in line with this, it says there are people first who happen to have a disability. The church should not further disable them. Oh, what a statement. Let's not carry further this disability issue. The church should not further disable them on that one. Maybe let me just look for something on Facebook. Martins, are you winning on that one? I'm just waiting for you to just come through on that one. As soon as you're in, just let me know. And then also to Tenda, please just do come through as well. I think you guys should just share. So I've shared the passcode and the ID, and I've also shared the link. I'm not so sure if you're struggling with your Zoom. If you still are there, Tatenda, finally, I see your hand. Let me just allow you to go ahead. Martins is in, Tatenda is in. Let me have them coming through as our sister Bege takes us through on our deliverables. Miss Tatenda, go ahead. I've unmuted you. T. Oh, I can't find you anymore. Okay, let me look. And I can't find you anymore. I don't know whether you left. And Martins, I don't know what name you're on. Martins A. I think that should be you. Let me try and unmute you while we wait for Tatenda to come through. Let's hear more real life situations. Martins?
Okay. I'm here. Good afternoon to everybody.
Hi, Martins.
How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. You can try to get closer to the device. I think that could be, yeah, just try to get closer to the device.
Okay. Sorry, man. To begin with my story, I first want to thank you guys for organizing this beautiful program. Actually, it's my first time that I logged in and listened to the beautiful testimony. And I was just touched on what our sister was sharing and encouraged as well. I am living with the same situation. I have a child with disability. My child was born very well, healthy child, no problem. But it's just funny that he developed jaundice. And his jaundice was very high, like 600, 700. Those who are doctors will know what happens with that. So when that happened, after a week, because he was discharged, but when I was in the hospital, I saw some few things that I wasn't happy all about. And I asked his pediatrician, then he says, no, it's yellow, but I didn't know what is this thing of yellow. What is it all about? I was not aware. And he told me, just put your child in the sun and it will be okay. And that was winter, hey? So when I got home, I told my husband that the doctor says you should put the baby on the sun, and it was winter. My husband said, no, we can't do that. It's very cold outside, because we needed to undress him. Okay, but they never told me what should happen. If this happens, you must bring him back to the hospital. They never told me anything. But within a week, the child was very warm, yet not warm, actually hot. He had a very high fever. So I told my husband that the child didn't sleep, and he also refused to fast for the whole day. He didn't want to breastfeed. And that Saturday morning, we rushed to the hospital. We took him. When we got there, we told the doctor that it's not He doesn't want to suck, and he's having fever, and the fever was really high, very high for a baby. And immediately they called the pediatrician, so the pediatrician came to the hospital, and when he held him, he looked at him, he's like, oh, it doesn't really look yellow, and he took him close to the window. He says, okay, anyway, just take him for testing. And then the doctor left, and then we remained there alone. But then other Zimbabwean doctor said, you know, doctor, I am worried, he said, he is pediatrician. I am worried of his fever and his yellow. But the doctor says, it doesn't really look yellow. But when they did the test, oh, it was very high, as I said, 600. And now the doctor started running up and down, trying to bring that, I don't know how they call it, down. But then the other option was to remove the blood from his body. I don't know how to call it, but remove the whole blood and put a new blood to avoid brain damage. And the doctor was telling us that if he has to do that, the chances of him living is very, very, it's a little like, yeah, he won't survive. But you know, we didn't know of all these things, we didn't understand. So we just let him do what was best. So he put him under light for maybe, let me say 6 hours, and then the jaundice came a little bit down. It was the next morning was already at 151. Then he said, look, your baby looks very fine. The thing went down very quickly, so I don't think we need to do any exchange of blood and anything. So the next day he said we should go home. But we're not comfortable because having a child like that, and then in the night he was also not sleeping, and the nurse explained to him, he says, no, just go home. We took the child home, but he was really crying, he wasn't well. So at the meantime, we didn't know that he also had another problem that was not checked. So to cut the long story short, after 2 months, the child began crying so much. We took him to the same doctor. The doctor said, no, he has got, what is this, colic? But the child didn't really have colic. It was something else that we didn't know. Then the fever went so high, it was like 40. For a baby, it's just too much. And we just thought that we didn't get much assistance, but I was hospitalized though with a child for like a month, in and out of hospital. The child would cry the whole day, the whole night. We didn't know what to do. And plus that, he was injected. You know, they say when a child is sick, you cannot inject him. So he was getting all those injections. So when my baby was now 8 months, we realized that his neck was not holding up. The neck was going sideways. And I was like wondering what's going with this child. But though the doctor told us that there's a possibility of him having brain damage. But when we left the hospital, he says, no, everything is fine because he didn't show any sign of those things. So he told us that, okay, now you have to take your child to a physiotherapist so that they can help him. But I thought that because even the nurses at the hospital, when they saw my baby when he was just a week, she told us that, no, you guys must just go to a physio, let the doctor take him, write you a letter and take the child to a physio. But we did everything late. Even the physiotherapist told us that you are very late. You should have brought this baby when he was still, you know, after you left the hospital, when he was just a week. I don't know how true is that. But yeah, we struggled with our baby, and I had 2 babies because my firstborn at that time was 1 year, 6 months. And then I had another baby with this baby that I'm explaining to you. So it wasn't an easy road for us. And I was apart with my husband. He was in a different town and I was also in a different town. So sometimes I wouldn't sleep because the 2 babies are crying at the same time, and the second boy will get sick, usually in the night, and it was so difficult for me. And we started taking my child to the physio, and you know, I have to go to work as well, having to take him in the morning, and then later on we had to take him to a physiotherapist and occupational therapist, and then the baby gym as well. So the finances were just not good on our side, but we started praying, I and my husband. And what admired me most of my husband is I was actually worried because I didn't want to have a child like that with a brain damage, you know. I was shy to go to church. I now developed low self-esteem. I was so big because I was eating so much, and I was shy of people. I didn't want to be around people because whenever I would go to church with my baby, people would just look at me, and I was really shy. So I didn't want to go to church at all. And my husband told me that, look, we have to accept this child, whether he walks, whether he talks, whatever, he is our child. We have to give him the same love. And then he has been encouraging me on that. And I was also just praying to God to help us, because all what I wanted for him is just to be able to sit on his own, because it was a struggle for me. The times I would cry because I have to do house chores and my child can't sit on his own. I have another baby. How do I do this? You know, it was so difficult at home. So I prayed. I said, God, at least help my child just to sit down, at least to sit on his own. And before he was 2 years, just 2 months before he turned 2, he started sitting on his own. I just saw a miracle. Thank you, God. He started sitting on his own. Now I could actually relax and sit, because I couldn't. I just had to hold him all the time. You know, it was so difficult. And then he started sitting. I just said, thank you, Lord, for this miracle. And since it was during this Corona time, we couldn't take our child to the physiotherapist because with the Corona, some of them have closed their practice, and we couldn't just take him anyway. So we were just with the child at home with no assistance, and the child just started sitting on its own. And that was a miracle for us, because we stopped taking the child to a physio when he was just 1 year. I think it was 9 months, because we only went for a month. And then we stopped because now Corona was so high, you know. And just the whole, from 9 months up to almost 2 years, we never visited any doctor. The child started sitting on his own. And when we took our baby back to the physio, because she kept on calling us, I'm open now, can you please bring the child? I'm worried. When we brought the child to her, she asked us, were you taking the child somewhere else? We told her no. And then she was like, when did he started sitting? I said, no, before he reached 2. She couldn't believe that the child is sitting on his own. And the way he was, when we took to him, he couldn't even hold his neck up. And when we took him to the doctor told us, yes, for a second opinion, because you need a second opinion. They told us that, yes, your child is brain damaged. You know, it's not easy. I would say it's not easy, but I thank God for the strength. Because, you know, the strength you get to be able to deal with 2 children at the same time, and one with disability, and doing everything that you have to do, the house chores, and going to work, and you are afraid to get somebody to take care of your child because you do not know how they'll treat them when we're at work. You understand? So my husband now had to stay behind with them while I go to work. So we have made that decision. But just to encourage the mothers who have the same, children with the same condition, you know, these things you don't ask for. I never dreamed in my life that I'll have a child like this. My child was born well. And when when somebody asked if she wanted to sue the hospital, I had also that in me, you know, because this was your negligence. I've got all my sonars. I did everything. When the child was born, you saw the child was fine. There was nothing. This was because somebody didn't, you know, pay attention on this child. And you want to send me to go put my child on the sun during winter, a newborn baby. How on earth would you do that, you know? And me with no knowledge of that, because if I knew what John discloses, I was actually not going to allow him to discharge me. I was going to tell him, leave me here and treat him how you treat other kids with the same condition. because I wasn't going to do that. But you know what? God has allowed it. This is what I always tell myself. God has allowed this for a reason, because God would have stopped it. Because the way things were just happening, and I think of that, God has allowed it and He has given it to me. And to me, and I was just saying that this is just a lesson. I don't know what God is trying to teach me, or does He want me to share this testimony to somebody, with somebody that is in the same situation or will be in the same situation, because you can't really explain this situation. And today, to be honest to you, I've got 2 boys, and my second boy is not working yet. He's sitting on his own. But I tell you, when I go for shopping, whatever pair of shoes I'll buy for the firstborn, I buy for the secondborn. I know he's not working, but I buy him those shoes because I know that I cannot buy for the first one and leave the second. I feel bad about it. I just buy it, and when the shoes are small, I just give them away while they're new. I feel good about it, because I don't want the thing that it's just the firstborn, everything for the first, but not the second. So I do everything for everybody. And just to share a testimony today, my child is now trying to crawl. He's trying to crawl, he's trying to stand. We found him 2 weeks back standing on his cot, and the father was shocked. Like, what happened? Who made you to stand? Because we know he doesn't stand. So that happened 2 weeks back. So I just want to say, cases are different, because I told God, my child was fine. Please do something for us. But we also accepted that it's brain damage. It's fine. But give us the strength. So God has been giving me strength. I'm going through this situation, but I'm encouraged by the testimony that our sister gave about her child. And this will make me to really have more energy and go through this whole situation. And just to say that even when we went to a physiotherapy, she was shocked, because she said most of the couples are fighting. They are trying to blame each other. It was because of you. It was because of you. But we were just together in this whole thing, We have to be together, because if we start fighting, where are we going to get? But I just thank God for my husband and for just the unity, and we are together into this thing. And many people.
I'm not so sure. I think we've lost Martin. All right. But I think we'd had the bulk of what you wanted to say. And thank you for, I think it's a story that you can relate to. And thank you so much. I've been saying we're gliding to the end of our program, and indeed we are. And I just want to make sure that I give one more person one last chance, just briefly, Utatenda, and then after that I'll give to Ubege, and then we can have a season of prayer. And Untitled thing says, when we pray, can we also pray for our doctors and nurses? Oh, Jehovah. If you're in that profession, it's a godly calling. Take it seriously. If it's a godly calling, take that seriously. So let's pray for them. Let me give to Tatenda quickly. I'm going to unmute you now. Just briefly tell us, give us your comment or whatever, and then from there on we can pray as we glide to the end. Tatenda, I've unmuted.
Okay, how are you, everyone?
Good.
Good. My name is Tatenda. I'm 26 years old with a condition called cerebral palsy. Why I have come on this program, because I need to encourage my mother that, you know what, I have been there. I've been like, my family, they did neglect me, but thank God with my parents, they always support me. They stand up for me. Right now, I'm here to tell you that we have Vision Life Foundation willing to support people with special needs. Even we had the mother of Pebble Wanele, she was doubting that, oh no, this child will never walk. But right now, we see the great things what God is doing to our lives. Right now, I'm telling you, we have a lot of people outside there. We need in Adventist, we don't have these schools. So I'm here to really open these schools for these people who have special needs. I've went through a normal school, but I didn't cope. But when I came here in 2009 in South Africa, things started to change. I started to work. I was working, and things were, God has been doing good to me. So what I'm trying to advise my mother, be strong, God is there, and I'm here. I will give you I've sent my contacts on Facebook. So if you need any information or any help, we are willing. The Northern Conference is also working on that, on special needs department. There's the lady called Sister Tuli. She's the coordinator for special needs. I think if you contact her, that she will give more training for people who want to learn sign language. She also have a child. We have a deaf person, a deaf child. So we are willing to work with. We are working together with Mam Tuli. It's also the Northern Conference is working with the people with special needs. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much, Tatenda, for that one. We really appreciate what you've done and what you've said. The Northern Conference, good thing our church is coming through now, is working through it with Sister Tuli, and you just put your numbers as well. Tuli, I know, and Tatenda, just put your numbers here, and I can share them on Facebook and also share them on Zoom right now. Please do that. Put your numbers there, just in case someone they might need, someone would want to contribute, and all that. We may need a program like Utandega is saying, where people with special needs share their stories, and I think 230 is a good platform to do that. Okay, they also want to be heard and help us as a church so we can help them. Thank you for one of them, Tatenda, who is cerebral palsy, and then he's just told us his story. Thank you. God bless you. Bege, take us through, and then we go to our prayer session.
All right. There's not much that I'm gonna say now. It's just to say thank you, guys. And from the comments that I'm hearing, I feel like people are ready to show love to people with disability, and they are ready to learn, which is very important. Because if I look back from my church, where I come from, I think the information is just not there. You know, there are some people that know it, like I had the information, but for some reason, I never had the chance, you know, to educate anyone, like, because nothing was done in that department, in the special needs department. So it's just to encourage us as individuals. I think it should start with individuals. I think somebody commented to say we shouldn't really look at the elders in the church. It is every individual's responsibility to actually do something, support the people living with disability, show them love. It's not enough to just say, oh, my sister, we are praying for you. Prayers are all good, hey? But if you listen to the stories, my story and the other ladies the other families that have shared their stories, it's a lot of work. You know, within that 24 hours, there is so much that one needs to do. And I think, I'm speaking for myself and everybody else, you know, there is a lot of support. There is a lot of a need for support. You know, we can do with support from other people out there. So thank you so much.
Much appreciated. Thank you so much, Bege, for that one. We need to support one another. That's the message. Love as God has loved us. Somebody is willing to pray for us, you know. Take us through take us through. You just lift up your hand and I unmute you. Pray for Bege. Pray for Bege. Pray for strength as she goes through life. Pray for the Martins, okay? Pray for Tatenda and his mom. Pray for Tuli and the child that is deaf. Pray for, you know, pray for the world. People that are going through such tough situations of special needs. Let's be specific. We know what to pray for. And go ahead, please.
Bafana Kumkum.
Bafana, yes, Bafana, please. Bafana Kumkum, they're out there in America and also doing doing their best. Pray for this. There's many families that go through a lot on a daily basis. Yeah, pray. I just want one person who's, you know, God is talking to you. I don't know who you are. Just lift up your hand. I'm ready to unmute you. If I could sing, I would have sung a song, to get us ready for the service. But I think we'll do well to remember the words of Jesus in the book of John chapter 16, verse 33. And Jesus is giving his parting shots and says, in this world you'll have many tribulations. And Jesus gives us a platform of understanding that it's not going to be a bed of roses. And he didn't promise us an easy life, but he promised to be with us in that life. And he says, be of good cheer. Because in this world, you've got through many tribulations, but I've overcome the world. We serve an overcomer. Go look at the grave in Israel. You'll find it empty. He overcame death. And there's one day, when he shall call our names, call Luke to come forth, call every one of us by name. And Paul will tell us that, and we who are alive, Jesus, will be caught up with them in heaven. And we shall go to the place that Revelation describes and says, for there shall be no more tears and no more pain, for the former things are gone. Levante, I want to pray for us. Take us through. Pray for us.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God who is in heaven, we are having this program so that we get empowered, we get educated, we get informed, and some of these programs, they push us back to sit and think. Ask ourselves a lot of questions. Ukuthi, soneni, what have we done to deserve such gifts? We ask questions to say, why has it happened to me? We will try our level best to do all that we could with the resources that are limited. It becomes difficult because such situations, they eliminate, they minimize friendship. Relatives disappear. And the support system that we thought we had, it diminishes. We become angry at people that are around us, become angry at the church, become angry at our family, become angry at our partners, become angry at whoever, even we become angry at you, God. Because not even in our slightest dreams do we desire to go through life in this manner. Yes, you told us that there will never be peace on the side of the sun. We carry the hope that there is coming a day when no heartache shall be. We are waiting in anticipation for that day. But before we get to that day, we are living day to day beyond, on this side of the sun. There is families that have children with disabilities, which come in different forms and dimensions. Father God, I pray that you give them strength. Give Bega the strength to carry on with life. The thought comes, but the mind cannot fathom it, to say, you allowed it to happen because you gave them strength. Give the Kumkum strength. Give Tantenda and his mother strength. Give the Martins strength. And there are so many that have not come forth. There are so many who are not even on this platform. May you be the strength of everyone, especially now that we live in times where greediness and selfishness is at its rifest times. May you give each one of us, and may we be the people that are a proper support system. May we be the proper support system. May we be the people that are of help to such families. We are asking from you, because akekho omunye, none at all, that can see us through in such times of our lives. Therefore, we also pray for our doctors and nurses. Sometimes it's because of negligence, sometimes it's because of fatigue, sometimes it's because of various reasons why certain ailments are pushed to become even as badly as some of the testimonies we had. And many of them admit that this profession is for those that have been called. May you revive the calling. May you give them the patience. May you give them all that it takes and is needed for them to practice effectively. As we are going to continue discussing about these issues, may you put in us a thought that will be a strength to people that are undergoing such livelihood. We pray, for we know that you have answered our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen and amen. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming through today. Much appreciated. Thank you to Bege. There's a song, there's a closer song, right? I think it's one of my favorite. And it talks about that you're not alone. And I'm speaking to everyone, not just Bege, you're not alone, right? You know, in the things that you're going through right now, there's great disappointments that everyone's going through. One day will come to light and will understand. That's why I'm saying, just send something and says, in the future life, the mysteries that he have annoyed and disappointed us will be made plain. We shall see that our seemingly unanswered prayers and disappointed hopes have been amongst our greatest blessings. Oh, that is the book of Ministry of Healing, and page 473 and 474. Our seemingly unanswered prayers have been amongst our greatest blessing. God bless us all. Let me just play the song quickly. It's just 1 minute, 56 seconds. Sing along if you know it, right? And then after this, I'll just give the announcements after the song, and then we can call it a day, all right? A translator would to say you're not alone. It's a feel good, happy song, and you're in anything. All right, so I'm going to mute you now, Bege, and then I'm going to play the song.
susisi hlobo yena akaguquki kuse kupheleli andinedwa wathi ngeke andishiye nedwa andinedwa andinedwa wathi ngeke andishiye nedwa.
Amen, amen, and amen. Thank you. He will never leave us alone. Let me give the announcements for what's coming up next week. We've got another emotional session coming up next week. We've got the Demayers who are with us today in this platform, and they're going to share their story of loss during the time and how God has been able to strengthen them during that whole time of loss. The job experience in the upcoming program. The title, Bigger Storms, Greater God. Not even bigger God, greater God. That's what we're going to be doing next week on a Sabbath right there at 2:30. Please join us using the same links that you used today. We're going to use the same Facebook page as well. Please do join us and invite as many people as you did today. Very happy that people can let the gospel go out so that we can just finish this thing called earth and go to the promised land right there. Then on Sabbath again next week at 9:30, we're going to be having a Sabbath school lesson as usual with Ulianda, one of our members here is 2:30, and they're going to be talking about, or rather doing the Sabbath school lesson with the title that says, The Stranger in Your Gates. And that's the rule from the memory text, Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 19. Therefore, love the stranger. For you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Thank you so much for coming today. God bless you. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the live stream on Facebook. Thank you to the Facebook family. If you do want to come in back to Zoom, you can. What's happening now is that we have what is called the after scenes. Our speaker, you're not mandated to stay. You've been with us throughout. You can go get some rest if you want to, but it's a session where we talk some more on this, maybe for a good 10-15 minutes. Then we can end it and go to our different places for the evening. Thank you so much again. I'm going to send the link on Facebook, the Zoom link, in case you want to come in for the After Scenes program. As we talk more about this, it's a relaxed kind of version. And thank you for everything. I can't keep saying thank you. Siyabonga, cool. God bless you all. I'm stopping the live stream on Facebook.